Welcome back to Life with the Spectrum. I'm your host, Gina Cavalli. I'm not a doctor, but I am a mom who lives life with the spectrum. And every episode, we tackle the big, the small, the good, the bad, the ugly. And today is a controversial subject with an expert that I think you're just going to adore. Her name is Sarah Collins. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Now, Sarah, we are talking all things stem cells, which, as I know, we don't have that available for our kiddos here in the United States with the spectrum. Can you tell me where we can go, what we can do? I mean, just start puking it out, girl, because everybody wants to know.
Well, in the United States, there you can actually go through Duke University or MD Anderson. They have a study going on with stem cells.
Okay.
So you can go to clinicaltrials.gov and find places in the United States that can do stem cell therapy under a study. Otherwise, it's pretty much traveling out of the country to get the stem cells that we need in order to help our kiddos with autism.
And there's two locations that are super popular. One's in Mexico and one's in Panama. Now,
Correct.
the first question everyone's going to want to know, including myself, was where do they get these stem cells from?
Okay, if you're talking about like Panama, what they do is they track women volunteers. They, throughout their pregnancy, they're tested, they're screened. When they deliver a live, healthy birth, the cord is actually then donated. Then those cords are selected. Then they isolate in the Wharton's jelly part of the umbilical cord is really robust MSC or mesenchymal stem cells.
Okay.
And that's where they want those nice, solid, robust cells from. From there, they take those cells, they expand them into the millions, and then they're cryopreserved. Then when the patient gets there to Panama, they are frozen or cryogenically preserved, and then they are counted, they are looked at to make sure that there's quality and viability of the cells. That's very important, quality and viability. And then once you're there, it is so super and so easy. They take like a butterfly needle, they inject a little bit of saline in there to make sure their line's clear. They inject the stem cells and then some more saline to flush it all the way through, and you're done.
And now you say this is the one in Panama. Is it different in Mexico?
Yes, a lot of the Mexico clinics will utilize the child's own stem cells, where they will go in through the hip to get bone marrow or even fat. And then they will take those cells, some of them expand, some of them don't, and then take those cells, and this is the harder part, they will inject them, but it's not a butterfly needle into the arm, it's actually a spinal. And that's where, the child is sedated, and
Panama's looking better and better.
the reason behind that is everybody's trying to cross that blood-brain barrier.
Right.
And so they're hoping to maximize crossing the blood-brain barrier by doing a spinal. Now it's much more invasive.
Sarah, so once you are injected with stem cells, and I know the kids go down to Panama or Mexico for about a week, do you see an immediate difference, or is this something that you could see an immediate difference, or something that takes a little bit of time?
Both. You could see an immediate difference. For example, our first treatment, we went down to Panama, and my oldest son immediately started to be more aware. Things came back to him that we thought he didn't remember.
Okay.
His swimming improved the day before that. When we had gotten to Panama, he was trying to swim and it wasn't going well. We did years of swimming lessons, it just never stuck, or we got kicked out. The day before, he thought he was going to die. He was, trying to swim. He was sinking. He was just having massive meltdowns. After the stem cells, he felt so good, and he just jumped into the pool and started swimming on his own.
Oh, wow.
We were so shocked. I actually picked up my camera and started taking, still have the videos and the pictures from that day.
That makes your heart smile, I bet, huh?
It does. It does. And so more awareness, seeing things that he'd seen a million times, but then he swore they were brand new for the first time. And then the food pickiness. We were on a chicken nugget diet, and that
That's for neurotypical kids too. It's not just for kids on the spectrum.
I know. Pizza and
I'm,
chicken nuggets. Oh,
I'm sitting here speaking with Sarah Collins, who is an expert in stem cells and a special education teacher in the past. Sarah, you had mentioned your trip down to Panama. Let me ask you, how many times did you and your son visit Panama for stem cells? Was this a one-time thing and ooh la la, or did you go back several times?
well, the very first time we went, honestly, it's a crapshoot. You don't know what to expect. And this was in 2013. We didn't know if this was even going to work. So we went with the expectation of, let's try this, see what happens. And fortunately, our son was a responder. And
Okay.
so we went back. My theory was since he was a responder, to bombard his system with stem cells so that the inflammation
Yes.
could not come back. It was like throwing holy water.
So you
And
went there multiple times in
yes,
multiple years.
yes. So my oldest got 4 treatments over 2 years, and those were about 6 months apart. We
Okay.
started
Whoa.
taking my youngest, and he's had 3 since that time frame, since 2013, and we're hoping to go again soon for him.
So let's ask the big question that every parent is going to want to know because, autism spectrum disorder, it's a hard pill for every parent to swallow. And we always think back, I know I did, coulda, woulda, shoulda, what did I do wrong? What was I doing during my pregnancy? Did I run that high fever? Like so many suggest that,
Right.
did I not eat properly? This, that, and the other. Did I get sick and run that high fever? How much does stem cells cost? And if you're a repeat visitor, do you get a discount?
Yes, most places will give you a discount for repeat treatments. I would say if you're looking to get into the stem cell world, you're going to need, and I know this is a lot, at least $10,000 to $20,000.
And
I would
that's
say,
just for the treatment. That's not for travel and accommodations, correct?
no, it actually would include your accommodations.
Okay.
With Panama, the price range is anywhere from 15 to 18,000, depending on your child's weight and how many stem cells they're getting.
Okay.
That includes your room, your transportation to and from the airport, and a meal a day. If you go somewhere in Mexico, you could stay on the United States side and travel over, or
Okay.
you could stay, it depends on which clinic you choose, or you could stay in Mexico. And those, I would say, after your treatment and your costs would be about $10,000. So you really, if you're trying to get into stem cells, you're looking at least $10,000 to $20,000. And then
So
after, like in Panama, they do give you that.
it's a big
Right.
gamble. It's a gamble as far as I'm hearing, because you said that fortunately your child was a responder, but not every child is. So it's a 20,000, let's just say a $20,000 gamble for parents looking into it. However, I will say this, if you are like me, and most moms are, you will go broke or die trying to help
Right.
your child be as productive as possible. They can be on the spectrum. That's that's fine, but you want them to be as productive, as high functioning as possible. Correct? Correct. I
Correct.
think everybody
Correct.
can agree with that. So
Yep.
now, in the instance of your son,
Mhm.
he has gone since 2013. He is now how old?
My oldest is 18. My youngest is 15.
And both of them are on the spectrum?
My youngest is on the spectrum now.
Okay. And he was diagnosed early on. You went through early
Oh yeah.
intervention and all
So
those things. But
we
now,
did we did Amen Clinic, we did brain scans, we did early intervention, all that, OT, PT.
And you say your older son is recovered from ASD? I didn't know that you could be recovered from ASD. Please, Sarah, explain.
When I went to college to be a special education teacher, it was that class was rare incidents disabilities. And I was told, oh, you'll never have to work with a child with autism. 99.
Yeah.
So I already forgot your question. It was
I asked if your older son, you said he's recovered,
yes.
but I didn't know that you could ever truly recover from ASD. I didn't know that that was a thing.
Yes, with him, we started in 2013. We did the first round. My family and my husband's family was just so ecstatic to what they were seeing and witnessing that they helped us and said, just keep going until until you feel like he doesn't need anymore. So after our fourth treatment, we were really comfortable. His ATEC was less than 10. The ATEC, the higher the number, the more severe the autism is. So he was down really, really, really low. And so that was kind of the push over the edge to get him where he needed to be. After that, since he was able to retain information, which is very important with autism, being able to understand and retain that information, he started quickly catching up in his classes to the point where he met all the IEP goals that we had rolled over year after year. I mean, how many of us have a speech goal that says we'll understand who, what, when, where, or why? Yeah, we've had that since kindergarten?
Right. Since you could get an IEP, sure.
Yeah, exactly. So he met all his IEP goals, met all the new goals. They were running out of goals. He was getting back to grade level. And we had moved out of the state for a little while, which was great. It gave him a fresh start.
Yeah.
And so he was able to jump right into regular classes and grow. And he eventually,
emotionally, was he catching up as well too?
Yes. And the school actually kept asking me if we could take him off of his IEP, doesn't need it anymore. But being a SPED teacher and a mom, I'm like, no, it's the safety net,
Yes, of course.
And I was like, no, I think I want it for a little bit longer. So finally in high school, they said there's no reason for him to be in special ed classes. There's no reason for him to have an IEP or even a 504.
Okay.
So he graduated high school. He started his senior year also attending an aeronautical school. And he's on his path to get his private pilot license here really soon.
Look at that.
As soon as he's done, he's going to go into the commercial program.
Which they need pilots right now.
Oh,
desperately.
This kid loves to fly and always has since he was little. He loved to spin things. And so he always had little airplanes and he would spin the little propellers really close to his face.
Yeah.
And then he always loved, just watching ceiling fans. So he's always loved things that are motorized, that spin, that do things. And since he was, tiny with his little, Disney planes characters, he's always wanted to do that. So he's almost done with his private pilot license. And then by Christmas, he should be in the commercial program, which will take about 2 years. And then he'll become an instructional pilot. And then once he gets his hours, he'll move on.
I'm here speaking with Sarah Collins, all things stem cells. It's a very controversial topic, and we don't necessarily do it here in the United States. I wish we did, because I think more and more parents then would be kind of swayed to go into our communities and our states and get the help that our kids so desperately need. And this is obviously something that has worked for many. And when I say many, I mean hundreds of thousands of families up until this point. Now, for hundreds of thousands of others, it hasn't worked. Sarah, can you touch on some of the things as to why maybe it wouldn't work for a particular child? Is it the degree and the severity of autism? I've heard and read on the Facebook page that some families have nonverbal children, they get those stem cells. Those kids are literally talking on their way out of the, facility. But then on the other hand, I don't know why kids wouldn't respond to stem cells.
I tried to figure it out those first couple of years when I created the stem cell group. I was kind of tracking to see, what is it? Why do some kids respond and some kids don't? And I would think I had a theory, and then nope, that would be out the window. But it appeared to me, in my non-scientific, I'm not a scientist,
Right.
that about 70% of the kids were responding. So what about those 30? Why are they
Why?
not responding? Let me go to my youngest really quick. He had stem cells also, but he did not improve as dramatically as our oldest. So of course I was a little bummed. But it was progress, but it was much more slow. But that gave me the ability to relate to other parents who didn't see as many gains or as many dramatic gains as they were hoping for.
Right.
Now, with stem cells, if your body continues to attack itself, let's take MS for instance.
Okay.
With stem cells in MRIs, you can see where the stem cells have repaired old lesions. The problem is with MS, it continually attacks the body and it doesn't stop new lesions from forming.
Mm.
So you will see patients with MS who go on a yearly basis, who go every couple of years or whenever they can't afford to do so. So if a child, I think, has an issue where the body continually attacks itself, that is going to be an issue. But with autism, when they're healthy, their body's in a good
Good.
position and they're proving
Yes.
themselves, we haven't lost our gains. This is 2022. Both my boys have kept all of their gains. And
So
so
when
we
you have the gains, you keep those gains. It's not like you regress.
correct. And during the first like 4 to 6 months of stem cells, the kids can go through a wide variety of emotions. They can be more hyperactive. They can be more emotional. So many different things. I mean, if you're autistic and you are hit with a bunch of stem cells, your mind might be, changing too. And so I think it's really hard for them in those first 4 to 6 months to regulate. Once they get regulated, they just seem to do outstanding. And that's when the parents are like, yes, this works. We're going to do it again. If I have to rob a bank, I will not rob a bank.
Well, it makes you, well, for me, and I'm just, speaking for my own son, we have not done stem cells. I want to try stem cells so badly. The cost is definitely an issue, not just for my family, but for a lot of families. Not everybody was born with, an unlimited checkbook. Wouldn't that be nice? Um, but like I guess like what you said, if you try it one time and you do see those gains and those growths and your family members do too, then it's almost like they want to contribute to continue to see their grandchildren or their nieces and nephews grow and hopefully get to the point where they come off the IEPs, they're social emotional, they're in check, they're doing really well in school. And then, can young adults, 20, let's just say, when I say young adults, let's say teenagers, 18, 22, 30, can they go and get stem cells as well?
I would say
Or
if
do you age out of that?
you kind of age out of it and you go more into their different protocols. They have autoimmune protocols. They've got different protocols on their website. And I think a lot of people will come in and say, oh, I have a child with autism, but the child is 20 years old.
Yeah.
So they may not meet the criteria for the autism treatment, but they could meet it for different things, for Crohn's, or they can meet it for
Down syndrome, MS.
well, Down syndrome, they don't treat Down syndrome. No, they could, if there's inflammation in the body, in the gut,
That's what, yeah.
that's where the stem cells come in. And if the child has those issues, they won't treat Down syndrome, but they'll treat associated issues. So I would give all of that, if there's constipation, if there's issues in those inflammation areas, then that's what I would submit. As they get older, our kids also get a lot bigger. They get a
Yeah.
lot harder to handle. And so if, we did have, you know, a severely autistic child, it would be really hard to get them to sit and cooperate for the stem cell injections. Now, these clinics are excellent with our kids. A lot of people worry about, oh no, my kid can't handle a needle. They will just scream and kick. Well, they all do.
Yeah. No, yeah, adults do too.
Right. Just bribe them. That's what I do. I bribe my kids. And um, but it's so quick, and the nurses are so great at a lot of these clinics that the kids, it's a breeze once they get used to the idea of what's going on. And I think it's also because they start to feel better.
Yeah.
They're much more willing to participate. But if you have an aggressive 25-year-old
It might
who's
not work. Yeah.
uh, that may not work. They may
Sarah,
have to be sedated.
let me ask you a question. What is the website people can go to in Panama to look into stem cell research or stem cell transplants?
It actually is a stem cell therapy. A transplant is where, like for cancer
Oh,
patients.
that's right. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, that's where
So,
you replace everything. So this is just adding to the body.
so
Um,
Sarah, where can patients or where can families go to look for stem cell therapy in Panama?
in Panama, you would go to www.cellmedicine.com, and that would
Okay.
take you to Panama's website. And I highly recommend reading different clinics, comparing what they're saying, look at their videos, look at their articles, look at the
Oh, is
facts.
there more than one clinic down there?
No, no, no. But
Oh,
I recommend everybody look at a few different clinics,
okay. And
even
Sarah
though I live
also,
in Panama.
and what is the Facebook group that you are an administrator on where families who can join to ask questions to families who've been there, done that, or maybe they can offer up their personal experiences? What is that face group called?
Yes, it's Stem Cell Therapy for Autism. It's
Okay.
on Facebook. It's a private group, so they will need to request to join and then answer the questions to get in.
And, I want to say thank you so much, Sarah. This has been so eye-opening and enlightening. And anyone taking the journey with a child on the spectrum, this is something, another opportunity, another therapy out there, while be it expensive, something to certainly explore. So I appreciate your time today, Sarah. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Sarah, would you be interested in coming back to discuss this a little further?
Absolutely. I would love to join you anytime.
All right. As again, we live life with the spectrum, and we so appreciate you joining in on the show today. We'll be back again real soon with Sarah Collins. See ya.